New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast.
Welcome to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Devitt. Alongside me, the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Piatelli.
How are you?
Great. Wearing the Blazers shirt. I got my Boston Bolts shirt on. We're throwbacking. We're ready to go in a new podcast.
Very excited. You saw some good lacrosse last weekend up at Merrimack, correct?
I did. I saw a lot of things that were great and a lot of things that really alarmed me going into the D1 season for one of those four teams. But it was great to be on the field, talk to the coaches. You know, you got to get down and see the horses run, see the ponies go. And you get a better feel of each team and the culture as well. So it was a great Sunday night, actually.
What's with all the rain, Kyle?
It's New England, man. That's what we do. We got different weather patterns here, I'll say, which I'm sure our guest today can attest to. Wheaton College's Kyle Hart. What's up, man?
How's it going? Thanks for having me on. This is great. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's we are only missing one other guy from our new Mac now that you've been on as the Emerson coach, but you are here, so we will talk a lot about Wheaton, which I got to tell you has nothing to do with you, but I have such an intense hatred for Wheaton for playing at Clark. It was like natural rivals at everything. And yes, Jack, we did lose, but we also won sometimes too. But they're very similar schools in how they're set up academically.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a terrific rivalry, and I have so much respect for Coach Cohen over at Clark. He does an amazing job, and like you said, I agree. I think they're pretty similar schools, and it's really developed into a really strong rivalry over the years. So we're excited about it.
Coach, you're from Long Island, another Long Island native. We have a lot of native Long Island guys coming to Massachusetts. And
Transplants,
thank you. And how did you end up at Muhlenberg? Coming from Long Island, that's where you played your college lacrosse. Tell me a little bit about your experience in high school. And, it's just very rare that someone from Long Island goes to Pennsylvania, a Division III school, and has an opportunity to play lacrosse. You had a good career there and ended up coaching there as well.
Yeah. I grew up in Massapequa and played high school lacrosse there. Terrific program. Really fortunate to have been a part of that program at the high school level as a player. And then I just kind of going through the process, I was looking at a handful of schools, and I think initially what really actually drew me into Muhlenberg was there was a potential for me to play two sports. I only wound up playing lacrosse, but there was the potential for me to play football as well. So I think that's initially what drew me in. But it was a newer program when I arrived, so I think that was something I was pretty excited about. And I just really fell in love with the campus. It was just had a great feel to it overall, and playing in the Centennial Conference I think is something that's very exciting as well. It's a terrific league. You're competing against some of the best teams in Division III. So overall, just felt like it was a great opportunity. It was that distance was it was far enough from home where you were kind of away from home, but it was close enough where you can kind of maintain those relationships back on Long Island. So I felt like it was a really good fit. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I coached there for 3 years after I graduated. Was really just supposed to be kind of like a 1-year deal as I kind of figured out what I wanted to do professionally, and just completely fell in love with the coaching and never really looked back. So I was fortunate enough to be there for 3 years. Coach Bissinger gave my first opportunity to kind of break into the profession. So, had a lot of fun doing it, and it was a great place, great experience. So I'm really, really, really thankful for it.
So you've been a full-time coach for over 10 years. How did you do that? Because coaching at the Division III level is that's hard to do, actually.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think starting out, those first 3 years at Muhlenberg, it was part-time pay, but it's full-time work, so you really got to kind of grind and just scrape by. I was really lucky because I had part of my compensation was like a free place to live that was like really close to campus. So I had a place to live. I had a meal plan, I think. Yeah, it was like a meal plan, and then like a $5,000 stipend. So I really had everything. Like I had a roof over my head, had food, and like a little bit of extra money. So I kind of just scraped by for like 3 years there, and then there was an opportunity out in the Midwest at Augustana College. And never been to the Midwest before, never had really spent any time out there, and interviewed for that job and was fortunate enough to get that job and kind of earn my first full-time job at the collegiate level. So went out there, started that program, and had a great experience out there as well.
Yeah, 8-6 in your first season, the new program. How'd you pull that off?
Yeah, I think we just we had great kids. I think it was just a fantastic place. I think it was, the sport was really exploding in the Chicago suburbs, and it's always been really strong out in Colorado. So those were two areas from a recruiting perspective that we really focused on. So I think we were able to attract some pretty good talent right out of the gate, and you kind of combine that with Augustana. It was an awesome campus. Has just really strong athletic tradition. So, had a pretty strong start, but I give all the credit to the leadership at Augustana and the student athletes that were able to attract. And, there were just some great guys there.
Yeah, we've talked about two schools that I think people that are listening to this podcast probably haven't heard of very much. Because the thing about D3, and this is why I love Division III, right? There's like 400 teams. There's going to be schools you haven't heard of. Because there's going to be opportunities for everyone to play lacrosse. And I think that's one of the great things about it. But talking more about regional and recruiting and how you got kids into schools like that, when you came to Wheaton, how was that transition for you? Because looking at your roster, it's a ton of New England kids.
Yeah. I think that's another great question. I'll be totally honest. It was something I completely underestimated when I first got here. It was a challenge. I didn't really recruit the New England area. I didn't, have many relationships up in this, part of the country. So, kind of taking over a program, there's certainly a lot that you learn. And I think that's one thing I learned is just how important, kind of knowing the area from a geographical perspective, and also, how important relationships are in the recruiting process. So it was something that, definitely took me a lot of time to develop. So, definitely something I like I said, maybe underestimated a little bit, but I've been here now for 7 or 8 years, and I've feel like I've gotten to know a lot of different coaches, different club coaches, and now we've really tapped into the local area for recruiting, which has been great.
So now you're a Bostonian, you're a Red Sox fan, you're a Patriots fan, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't live in Connecticut.
You settled in nicely?
He doesn't live in Connecticut. He can't pick a team. He's still from New York.
Yeah. I live in Foxborough, so we do have Gillette right down the road, which is really cool. But yeah, I'm still a Giant fan, and all the New York teams I still pull for. So, but yeah, no.
All right, let's end the podcast right now.
Hey, it takes at least a decade to get him to switch, man. Trust me. Once they do, though, they don't go back.
They don't go back.
Yeah, it works out.
Yeah.
So, did you find when you came here was in terms of recruiting that a lot of New England players like to stay in New England, especially at the Division III level, and instead of trying to get maybe some New York players or Pennsylvania players or Long Island and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely, a niche, for New England players that maybe want to stay a little bit closer to home. And I think Wheaton's a great option for those, for those players and for those student athletes. There's just so many amazing choices at every level, Division I, II, and III for a college choice, and to continue to be a student athlete at the collegiate levels in this area, New England. So, that's always a challenge. But yeah, I think we've done pretty well, kind of locally in New England. So that's something that we're just really excited about.
So with all this competition you just spoke about, why am I going to Wheaton? Why am I choosing to get my education and have an opportunity to play lacrosse?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a place that, it's very connected, about 2,000 students overall. So, it's easy to develop relationships at a place like Wheaton. And, I think just being able to have the on-campus experience, I think, is also very exciting. But I think Wheaton's a place that really does prepare you for life after college. I think it's a place that, you'll learn the skills that you need in order to, become and develop into a successful young professional, right? So I think there's a lot of value there. We have a guaranteed internship program, so every student that comes to Wheaton is guaranteed an internship within their 4 years of being a student at Wheaton. And then you combine that with the lacrosse experience. If you want to have a really strong structured athletic experience, Division III level, play just a terrific brand of lacrosse in the new MAC, which I think is very exciting. And also, have the opportunity to leave a legacy. We've never won a championship at Wheaton, and that's certainly our goal. So do something that's never been done before, and just reach your full potential as a student athlete. So I think that's what makes us a great choice.
One of the things I noticed just looking at your roster, tons of public school guys, not like half and half, but I think like 2/3 of your guys are public school guys, which it doesn't surprise me per se, but you got kids from like Maine, Connecticut, and obviously New Hampshire, and it's good to see. But how are you getting those kids? Because I feel like sorry, let me try that again. I feel like the prevailing thought is that if you're doing that, you're not playing club sometimes, and especially on my team, I know I coach only have like 3 kids that play club. But a bunch of them could play in college. How are you seeing those guys? And does everyone that is on your roster play for a club team or not?
Yeah, I think most do. Right now, for the current class it's interesting you bring that up, because like the last 3 commitments we've gotten, for the current 2023 class they didn't play club. Right. But yeah, most of the guys that we recruit, are playing with a competitive club team. But there definitely are some exceptions. I think in our current freshman class, there's, out of the 13 that we have, I want to say 2 or 3 didn't play club. So the majority usually do. I think it's just kind of getting out there and being out on the road in the summertime and in the fall, I think is really important for a college coach, and getting to recruiting events and just being there to evaluate is huge. But also, if you have the opportunity to go to a local high school game and connect with the high school coach, I think there's a lot of value in that as well.
Now, speaking of just summer recruiting, what was your summer like going back and forth? Because I think you switched assistants coming into this year. So how many things did you have to go to? How much of that was your time? How much did you go in New England and outside of New England to go to recruiting events?
Yeah, it was a busy summer. We had Coach Blood join the staff, and really excited to have Coach on board with us. It was very active. Majority of the events I went to were up in New England, but, got out to Long Island, was out in New Jersey and went down to Baltimore. So kind of on the East Coast there. And, so that was great. And, our old assistant, Coach Brands, left us in like early August. So, Coach Blood got on board shortly after. So there was, there wasn't too much on my plate. Coach Brands did a phenomenal job recruiting and just connecting and building a terrific rapport with her players on a roster. So, it was a pretty easy transition, and I worked hard. It was really busy, but I was really fortunate to have those great assistants that were on board.
Kyle, you were a multi-sport athlete in high school. You wanted to pursue football. Didn't work out for you. What are your thoughts on multi-sport athletes, and how many of your players on your roster are multi-sport athletes?
Yeah, I think playing multiple sports is phenomenal. I certainly encourage it. Last year, we had a swim and lacrosse student athlete who was a terrific athlete for us, and just finished up last year. A guy named Brendan McIntyre from out on the Cape there. So we don't have any current two-sport guys on the roster this year, but we're always looking. We don't have football at Wheaton, but soccer, or any other sport.
But were they multi-sport athletes prior to coming to Wheaton? A number of them.
Oh yeah. I feel like most are. Definitely I think a value add. Playing multiple sports. I think I'm definitely encourage it.
What's your best combination if you're going to make one? 2 and 3 sport. Like what's the best translation to lacrosse?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I think I would say basketball. I think a lot of the concepts really translate over. I think the footwork, defensively is really similar. I just think there's a lot of similarities between the two games. Hockey's another great one. I think hockey teaches a lot of toughness, a lot of grit. Football is really good too, and soccer. I think that's a good one as well. But if I had to choose one, I think I would go with basketball.
Yeah, I think that actually I've changed on this. I used to think it was like basketball, lacrosse, and like that's the best guy. But I think if you can get someone that plays football, basketball, and lacrosse, that kid is that potential there, just athletically, and the IQ that they have to play those other two sports. You can have them play any position.
Yeah, I agree.
You want some players that can pick up ground balls, get you hockey players.
Yeah.
Right? You want some players that can play good defense, get you basketball players.
Right.
Kids that can run all day,
soccer players.
Here, run in a straight line, go.
Lacrosse IQ, basketball.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I always think it's interesting to talk to coaches about this because the skill set that you need to play different sports does translate to lacrosse. But I do find it hilarious. Like I've coached a bunch, and I would play basketball with my kids as like conditioning, and it's hilarious how bad they are at it. I'm just like, wow. Yeah. You play lacrosse though. You're one of the best players, and you can't dribble a ball. Like to me, that's like crazy. But then I think about you're playing other sports like baseball and stuff. I can't throw a ball. Can you throw a ball?
Basketball?
Jack? No, a baseball. Can you throw a baseball?
Yeah, I was a catcher. I can throw a baseball.
You can't play basketball though.
No, I can't. Horrible. I know you can't either at 5 feet.
Hey, I can't. Hey, who's got a state title?
You?
This guy.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay.
Off the bench, 40 seconds of the championship game. How you like that?
Wow. Did you get any points in the championship game?
Absolutely not.
Nice.
0%.
Nice.
5 fouls and a couple foul shots. That's what I was. Just
and
go
you
in and
missed
hurt
the foul
guy.
shots?
No, I'm on like 70%. I play pickup. We should play. That's what we should do.
Little one-on-one.
There's a coaches league, and we've talked about this in the podcast before, like one other time, I think with Jerry Byrne. There's a league. If you go to all these recruiting events, the coaches will like do like little drafts and play mini leagues.
Oh yeah.
During the summer. Which,
a little basketball is very competitive.
I miss. It's fun.
Yeah, you should go to one of those basketball games.
I have.
Okay.
I scored on Kip Turner. Did a throat cut on him. It was great. It was great. Kip's gonna hate that. Don't take that out. But yeah, no. I always like talking to coaches about their different sports. And what position did you play in football?
I was like a tight end receiver in high school. So yeah, more of a tight end receiver guy.
Yeah, it makes sense because you're massively tall.
Yeah,
that translates. That translates.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your philosophy and with your team regarding offense and what kind of offense you like to run. Do you have a scripted plays offense? Would you like free-flowing offense? What are you looking for in terms of your players and how they fit with your offense and what kind of offense you like to run?
Yeah, I think, just from a strategic perspective, there's, I think you have to have a kind of like a base set, something that, you can really fall back on and just something that you can kind of go to, really at any moment, something that, that you can just get, just one thing that you can just get really, really good at doing. I think kind of what we look for, some of the tangibles are guys that have a good motor. I think guys that, offensive players that can gain separation off the dodge, and draw slides. I think that's really important. But I think that offensively, I like to give our guys, kind of a set and some rules, right? That are kind of 5 or 6 rules offensively, right? You got to dodge the score, right? You got to be able to create space for the dodger. We want outlet in front of the ball, behind the ball. We want to dodge and draw slide and just keep putting pressure on the defense with good ball movement. Just keep hitting singles and then just kind of reattack off that ball movement. So really anything that we do, I think all those 5 or 6 rules just kind of translate, to really any set that we run. But try to have something, maybe just one thing that you're really good at doing, and then just kind of as the season goes, maybe just kind of add in some different wrinkles offensively, just different things that can kind of just provide you with a little bit of an advantage. So, that's what we try to do. And every team every year is a little bit different too, so I think you kind of have to think about what your strengths are and try to, come up with, a scheme strategy kind of around what your player strengths are.
We're going to take a quick break, but there's more Chasing the Goal podcast on the way.
All right, class, it's the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. Welcome to Fandom 101. Want to hype up your squad from face-off to the final whistle? Here's your assignment. Lesson 1, get loud for every goal. 2, work together. And 3, attendance is encouraged, but passion is mandatory. The Men's Lacrosse Championships, May 27th and 29th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Buy your tickets today at ncaa.com/mlacrosse. Class dismissed. All right, class, it's the NCAA Division I Women's Lacrosse Championship. Welcome to Fandom 101. Want to give your team the ultimate assist on the lax field? Here's your assignment. Lesson 1, get loud for every goal. 2, work in groups. And 3, attendance is encouraged, but passion is mandatory. The Division I Women's Lacrosse Championship, May 26th and 28th at Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina. Buy your tickets today at ncaa.com/wlacrosse. Class dismissed.
Dedication, skills, focus, and the drive to play at the highest level. Massachusetts is committed to providing the coaching and curriculum that will allow boys and girls to learn and grow as individuals and as teammates. With an emphasis on skill development and academic excellence, their players have led the country in college recruiting for the past 10 years. With over 800 plus players moving on to play in college and over 130 plus high school All-Americans, Massachusetts has been able to set the nationwide standard unmatched in the sport of lacrosse. To learn more, log on to laxachusetts.com. That's laxachusetts.com.
Do you like to attack from the midfield or the attack, or it really depends on the personnel you have on the field?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, but I think it depends on the personnel that we have on the field. I think we really like to kind of get going right out of the sub box. That's been something that I've kind of kept. So, that third guy stepping on, just throw the ball up to him and just kind of initiate your offense right out of the sub box. And then kind of depending on, your strengths or, kind of where you feel like you have an advantage, maybe, some stuff off the end line or, a big little, or maybe like a pairs look kind of in the alley. So there's a lot of different things you can do, but definitely like to initiate, right out of the sub game. I think that's definitely been a strength of ours.
We talked about this before, not on the podcast, obviously, but I know you like the shot clock. How has that changed your style of coaching? What did you have to change with the shot clock coming into play?
Yeah, I think the shot clock has been a great change for the game. I think it's really cut out all of the dead kind of the dead air, I guess, or, just like like every second counts, like the way you sub, you got to sprint through the midline, you got to, sprint through the box, and you don't have to rush with the shot clock and try to, but you got to play faster. You got to play with a certain amount of purpose and tempo. So I think that's really, I think it's been a change for the better. And I think strategically it's definitely kind of shaped how you attack, how you, maybe how you go at teams. So I think it's been a great change.
Talking to a couple of coaches last couple of years, one of the things they said to me, the consensus was that the most challenging part of the shot clock was the substitutions.
Yeah.
And getting the guys on the field at the right time. Now teams are obviously riding more than they did in the past with 20 seconds to get it over the midfield line. Did you find that it was a little more challenging in the box versus maybe on the offensive end of the field and even actually clearing the ball?
Yeah, I think so. I think it definitely became a little bit more challenging. I mean, you couldn't just. I think the big, one of the biggest. You couldn't just hold the ball. You couldn't just like get into a double invert and just kind of run around back behind the goal. You kind of have to put shots up. But yeah, I think it definitely. You have to just be cleaner in your sub game. Kind of getting your guys out quicker, and then I think just kind of initiating your offense a little bit quicker. And then if you run out on the shot clock, just all right, we got 3 seconds on the shot clock. Like let's just get back and ride and try to get it back in the ride. So I think it's definitely forced coaches to adjust and kind of tweak how they do things. But I think again, I think it's been a really good change.
Now, unless my math is wrong, which it might be, not a math major, and unless you have guys coming back for graduate years, you're losing 100 points from last season. So even, 100 points even.
Wow.
How do you replace that level of offense?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. We unfortunately don't have any fifth-year guys. We soon will. Wheaton soon will have. It sounds like some plus one programs. So excited about that. But I think. It's really just the next man up mentality. I think we've got a terrific senior class. That's going to do a great job from a leadership perspective. And yeah, that's a lot of points. There's definitely some big shoes to fill, but I think we have some guys that are ready, that have been working really hard these last 4 years that are ready to step into some big roles for us and combine that with, a good freshman class. I think we recruited pretty well. So, we have some other guys that I think will promote a lot of competition and really, really push. So, we should have some good depth as well.
Yeah, your two leading goal scorers, I should say, are coming back for their senior year. 27 points from Shane Ross, as well as 27 goals from Shane Ross and 21 from Robert Sullivan. So that's still coming. Yeah. Like you still got some points coming, but that is the most I can remember looking at a roster, a coach losing going into a new season. So I think it's interesting, and it's clearly challenging to win in the new MAC, right? Like, and we talk about this all the time, not just because Jack and I happen to go to schools that are in the new MAC, but it's a murderer's row, man, and it's all sorts of teams that are getting better every year. MIT, Babson, Springfield. Not Clark as of late. Coast Guard, all these teams are generally in or around the top 20, if not the top 30 in the country.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal conference, and it's only going to just continue to get better and better. And Salve Regina's coming in 2024, so I think they're going to raise the bar even more. So, it's a terrific league, and we're really excited to be a part of it. And I think our goal is to just try to get a little better each day, and just try to show up and just try to be consistent with our approach, kind of with how we train and, just kind of how we respond to things. So, there's some great competition, and we're really, really fired up to be in the league.
Let's talk a little bit more about your training. We had Babs and Coach Rocky Batty on here, and he was telling us that he's like involved in the players' nutrition. You know, after practices, after games, making sure guys get the right fuel that they need, trainers, off-season training, weight room sessions. I think everybody is kind of like, oh yeah, of course you do all that, you know, while you're playing college lacrosse. But specifically, is there one thing that you guys do that you think has really improved you in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think just really making a strong commitment to the weight room year round. You know, I think that's you know, that's just kind of been a standard, you know, that we've had, you know, and you know, once a standard becomes an expectation, you got to raise the standard. So, you know, I think just having a real strong commitment to the weight room. You know, we have we implemented a wall ball test and a run test. I think that's also been really good for us. And you know, if you don't pass your run or your wall ball test, then you got to earn your game jersey, right? So you know, if you don't pass your run or your wall ball test, you know, you don't get to play in the game. So everyone's got to kind of earn it, you know. And I think it puts just a little bit more of an emphasis on training year round and you know, just trying to control the controllables. You know, you can always, you know, improve your stick, right? You can always you know, do one more set in the weight room, one more rep, right? So just trying to get as strong as we can, and you know, you have complete control over your conditioning level as well. So just having a standard, I think, for, you know, all those phases is I think really important. I think that's definitely kind of helped us as we evolve.
What's your run test?
Oh man, we
is it beep? It's not the beep test, is it?
No, we well, yeah. So we do one in the fall and one in the spring. So it's two. Yeah, this fall we did 2 300-yard shuttles with an average time of 52 seconds, and you get like a 2-minute break in between. So yeah, you know, definitely challenging. You got to be in shape to do it, and then we don't tell the guys what it's going to be in the spring. We just tell them it's going to be harder. So they have to work. You know, so if you're like a top end guy, you know, and you're crushing the run test, well, you know what, you got to continue to try to get faster and be in even better shape, because you don't know what it's going to be when you get back. So we just tell them it's going to be more challenging in the spring. So and they've responded really well to that, and it's been a great group.
How has your fall ball gone, and what's your kind of fall ball schedule that you went through?
Yeah, fall ball was awesome. We just finished up this past weekend. So we did 4 weeks, 4 practices over a 4-week period. And then on days that we practice, we'll lift twice a week in the morning. So, you know, I think the fall for us, we really have 3 goals. I think number 1, it's just try to make each practice as competitive as we can, and just really, you know, high energy, high level practice, you know, 2 hours where we're really just, you know, between the lines, just getting after it, trying to get as many reps, as many touches as we can. And then, you know, the second is really just trying to just continue to build our weight room culture with the morning lifts, you know, just getting our guys up a little early and getting in the weight room and just training there. And then third, just trying to put some things in strategically, just some real basic things on each side of the ball. But yeah, we scrimmaged up at LaSalle on Friday night, and then we played our alums Saturday morning, which is like terrible planning on my part. We played like 2 games in like 10 hours, which is it was a lot, but the guys did a great job. They handled it really well. So overall, it was a great fall. We got exactly out of it what we wanted to.
Looking to keep up with all the latest news and information on New England lacrosse? New England Lacrosse Journal and laxjournal.com are the premier resources for information and inspiration on the New England lacrosse scene. Have every issue of New England Lacrosse Journal, the magazine, delivered to your home or office. And don't forget to stay in the game every day with a digital subscription to laxjournal.com to receive daily digital lacrosse coverage on club lacrosse, college commits, prep and high school, Division 1, 2, and 3 colleges, showcases, rankings, and much more. Get in the game and behind the scenes now by logging on to laxjournal.com. Just click on the subscribe button and start the subscription that is right for you today. New England Lacrosse Journal is a Seamans Media publication. Seamans Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.
This winter, Piatelli Lacrosse has a great way for you to stay in shape and play lacrosse.
Kyle, yes, starting in January, we have box lacrosse leagues for youth and high school. Players of all ages at 2 convenient locations in Agawam and Taunton, Massachusetts.
The up-tempo pace of box lacrosse is an excellent way for players to learn to play faster and develop new skills that will make you more effective on the field in the spring.
And coaches will be provided for each game, and all players will take part in mini clinic prior to the game where we will work on different box lacrosse skills.
Make the most of your off-season, play some box lacrosse. This program is open to all interested players. For more information on our Winter Box League, visit www.piatellilacrosse.com. I always liked when coaches were like, "Oh, we'll lift in the morning." I always found running in the morning awful.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like it never clicked. All the kids hated it, but lifting I feel is like it's much easier to do in the morning for me. I think that is for a lot of people as well, right?
Yeah, not for me.
No,
but yeah.
No, tell me why.
I don't know. I've never been a morning lift guy, I guess, but I think I think it's been great for guys. I think it's a really good habit to develop. You just kind of get up early, and we can also, if we lift on days that we're practicing, we can also just get eyes on our young guys and just make sure that they have the right form. We'll bring one of our strength coaches in and just kind of make sure guys are lifting the right way so they can take those habits with them into the off season and kind of do things on their own, the correct way. We get 6 weeks off and where they're away from us, they're away from campus. So they really have to continue to train and get stronger. And the lifting technique I think is really important. And really the only way to do that is just getting up early and kind of doing it together. So it's been really good.
2-part question. Roster size. What do you like to bring in and have on your roster? And how many recruits do you bring in every year normally? And talk a little bit about some of your freshman recruits.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 40 is a really good number. I think we're at 41 right now. So, I've done it all different ways. I've had more than that. I've had less. I think it's a really fine line with your roster size. And I think really the goal is you want every guy to have a role. I think that's really important. So, and I think from a practice perspective, we're in the pursuit of the highest quality reps we can possibly get each guy. So if you have 60 guys, I think with your coaching staff ratio, I think it's a little tough to do that. But if you have 20 guys or 24 guys, it could be tough to kind of hold up for a full season, just, from an injury perspective. So, I think 40 is a really good number. From a recruiting standpoint, just numbers wise, it really depends on kind of what we have graduating and what our needs are. But I'd say, really anywhere between 12 and 14 is kind of an average, from just like a pure numbers perspective is kind of an average recruiting size. I always say there's 3 things you need in each class. I think you need a left-handed offensive player, either attacker, midfielder. You need a face-off guy and you need a goalie. And then kind of the other spots that you have really depend on kind of what your needs are and what you're going to graduate. So that's really how we look at it.
How many guys who come in, what are the percentages? I know it's probably small, but a number of players come in, have certain expectations, and over time they can't handle the expectations, the challenges, the time commitment, the competition. Do you have that in mind when you bring in 12 to 14 guys, that some of these guys aren't going to be here when they're juniors and seniors as well?
Yeah, you do. I think you have to build that into your recruiting for sure. I think what I've learned is in the recruiting process, like you just have to really lay it out there for the recruits, and you just have to really make sure that they know exactly what your program's values are and what your standards are and exactly what it's going to be, and I think if you do that, guys always, there's always a ton of reasons why, guys drop off a roster and most of them are just completely out of your control. But I think if you do, if you share that message and you're transparent with guys in the recruiting process, right from the jump, then it that you don't have as much of that. But yeah, I do think you need to be prepared for it and kind of build it into your recruiting.
Obviously, getting to know the players you bring in is very, very important for those reasons. And so, one sec.
Sorry, just gonna grab some water too. All good.
So getting to know your recruits is very important for those reasons. When they come in, they know what the expectations are, and you know what kind of a person, player, commitment they're going to make to the program. What kind of things do you do to get to know these players so you know when they walk on campus, they're really suited for your program?
Yeah, I think, just try to build a relationship with them and try to build a rapport. I think just kind of asking them what they want out of their college experience and kind of where they see lacrosse fitting into that experience. I think that's a really important question to ask. But I think just trying to just kind of have conversations with them, get to know them, get to know their families. I think it's really important that, you get to know the parents as well. And that they're involved in the recruiting process, as well. So, I think reaching out to club or high school coaches, I think is great as well. They can always give you some good insight, but you never really know until they're there playing for you, kind of how it's going to go. So, I think it's like a job interview almost, it's kind of like a similar process. But, I think you just try to do the best job you can with, asking questions and just trying to build a relationship. So, once they do get on campus, they're ready. And they also know that you're a guy that, that's going to be there, that's going to support them and just kind of be the same guy that's, going to show up and be the same guy every day.
So the guy the coach that they recruited, sometimes the coaches that are recruiting a player are different when they end up on campus. So your point is you're the same guy when you're recruiting a player as when they are on campus.
I try to be, I try my hardest to do that. I think that's really important. But yeah, it's recruiting it's not an exact science.
No, it's not at all.
And there's a lot of moving parts, but yeah, I think just trying to be consistent is really important. And that's, I make a ton of mistakes, don't get me wrong, but yeah, that's something I really try to stick to.
Yeah, just to build on that, I had a conversation last week with a D1 coach, and I was kind of like, oh man, covering recruiting, it's really hard. I got to call like so many people. He goes, Kyle, you can screw up. No one cares. I'm recruiting kids for my livelihood. I need 16, 17-year-old kids to like be what I think they are, or we're not going to win games, and then I'm not going to have a job. And I'm kind of just like, oh, I'm going to shut up now. You know what I mean? Like you get put in your place real quick because it is so hard because people just think that, oh, I'm looking tape. I'm evaluating how good he is. This is what he's going to do for my program. You're not doing that. You are evaluating them as people. And I think if more kids understood that like people see like getting to the school as their destination. No. That's the beginning. The beginning is you finishing high school and going to college. If you're not the same person and getting better, then you're not going to have fun. You know what I mean? And you're not going to fulfill your potential. And I think that's a huge part of that gets lost in recruiting, gets lost in I committed here, I got announced on Instagram, all these people care about all this, and my
nonsense.
Teammates went here. It is nonsense because no matter where you go, you need to have a commitment to the place where you're at. And you can't be looking everywhere else. And, we haven't asked you about transfer portal yet, but I will.
But the commitment is a starting line.
Right.
So the finish is diploma.
Yes.
Correct?
100%.
And a lot of players think the commitment is, it's all right, I made it.
Yeah.
I made it.
Here we go.
And you know what? I play every minute of every game. I scored 100 points in high school. You get to college, even more so today, Division 1, 2, and 3. How many freshmen at 1, 2, and 3 come in and are impact players and play the entire game. There's very few.
Yeah.
There's very, very few at any level. And those are the players you got to find who understand that, you know, to quote a coach talking to a recruit, you will play for me. I don't know when you'll play, but you will play. It might be your freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, or senior year. That I can guarantee you.
So, Coach, let's follow up on that. What's the one intangible you want to see from a kid the second he sets foot on campus for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, one intangible. I think discipline. You know, I think if you're disciplined with your approach and you know you're committed to just trying to improve every day, then you're going to reach your full potential. So I think that's something that, you know, just kind of how structured that student athlete is, kind of with their approach to you know, to academics, athletics, you know, their training and just kind of how they manage their time. So yeah, I think discipline is really important.
All right, Coach, we want to thank you for coming in. Really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was
41 minutes went by quick.
It flew by.
Great job.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's how we do it.
That was great, man. I could have kept going. That was cool.
All right. Thanks again for listening to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast. For Jack Piatelli, I'm Kyle Devitt. We'll see you next time.